I'm Amanda Singleton, attorney and AARP caregiving expert. As a caregiver, an important part of your job may be to keep your care recipients' legal affairs in order. This, of course, is a big responsibility and requires careful planning. Here's a checklist to help you protect your care recipients' legal rights as well as your own. First, make sure your care recipient has the basic legal documents in place. A durable power of attorney for finances and a durable power of attorney for healthcare or healthcare surrogate designation will allow an appointed person to make fiscal and medical decisions for a physically or mentally incapacitated person. A living will provides your care recipients preferences for medical care at the end of their life. And a simple will where your care recipient can decide who shall receive their assets after their death. It's important to note that your care recipient must prepare all legal documents when they're still capable of making decisions. Second, make a family plan. It's important to discuss caregiving matters with family members before caregiving is needed. Set a time to meet and identify who will be responsible for which caregiving roles like medical assistance, day-to-day chores, or financial coordination. This helps keep the peace and provides clear communication. Third, organize important papers. It's key to have these documents organized in files that are easy to navigate so that you know where they are when matters arise. Here are some of the important ones. You'll see the list includes things like birth and marriage certificates, but also deeds and insurance policies. Fourth, explore financial help. There may be many public benefits that are available to you or your care recipient. AARP Foundation's Local Assistance Directory is an online tool where you can search for local, state, and federal programs you may qualify for. It's also a good idea to look into your care recipient's insurance and retirement plans. See if they cover short-term assistance, such as home health visits or nursing and mental health services to ease financial strain. Lastly, research tax breaks. Your care recipient may be able to claim federal tax deductions for many healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses not covered by health insurance. Save receipts for these expenses and share them with your accountant once tax season arrives. AARP encourages you to stay informed. You can find more tips on legal and financial issues facing caregivers on our caregiving site, as well as download the Advanced Directive form for your state. And remember, the more prepared you are now, the easier it is to navigate legal affairs during difficult times.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cookery for Day 3, our last round here of our delicious holiday treats. As always, I'm Chef Joe. Joining me today, we have Chef Sarah, one of our other chef instructors here at the Cookery, and she is going to be guiding us through all of our great treats for today. So I'm going to slip on back behind the camera, but first I just wanted to, as always, give a great big shout out and thank you to all of the caregivers in all of our lives, whatever shape or form those might be. So we're going to stick with that theme. We're going to make some even more delicious treats for all those caregivers today. So I'm going to go back behind the camera. Without further ado, here is Chef Sarah.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to be with you guys today. We have some delicious recipes that we're going to start off with a Christmas tree pull-apart, and then we're going to work on a apple cinnamon Dutch baby, and last of all, dulce de leche donuts that are churro and filled. I am so excited about everything today. For our Christmas tree pull-aparts, we have our French bread dough that we're going to use for our rolls. We have some mozzarella cheese, some cream cheese, butter, some fresh herbs, and a little bit of garlic. For our dough that we're using today, we can use about any dough. We can use biscuits, we can use French dough, bread dough, and like can like this, or we can use a Pillsbury pizza dough as well. I'm going to first start with our topping for the dough. What we're going to do first is chop all our fresh herbs and our fresh garlic, and then get some butter, melt it all together, so we can have a topping for our delicious bread. So what I'm going to do first is start with our garlic. You've seen Chef Joe earlier this week do the garlic demonstration. Just mince it all down. We're going to hold this down pretty fine. Cut off the root end here. And then peel it really nicely. and do the mincing motion again, keeping the front pretty stationary and the back just moving, mincing it on down. That's pretty fine again. Still pretty big. Wipe it off your edge. If you don't want to get your fingers all sticky with garlic juice, use the edge of your cutting board. Put your knife parallel. It's good to use again, or mince down again.
Don't worry if your knife skills aren't quite as fast as Chef Sarah's going in there. Start that mince motion is the one that's going to make you feel like a professional chef.
Yeah.
Start slow and then keep on rocking away, and before long you'll be going just as fast as Sarah is here.
All right, I think that's pretty fine then. I'm just going to get a bit finer. I'm going to steal my microwave bowl over here. I'm going to put our butter in there. And then our garlic that we just minced pretty fine. My knife, get that all. Put that on there. And then I'm going to work on our fresh herbs. I have some rosemary, some super delicious. What we can do with rosemary is just put our fingers at the top of that stationary and just look down and try to get as many leaves off of it as possible. It's kind of hard because
the first time you do that zipper trick, folks, you are going to lose your mind. It feels so satisfying when you just strip that herb stem all the way down.
I'm going to make it into a nice little pile and mix again, just like we were doing with the garlic earlier. Just get it pretty fine as well. Pops everywhere when you're doing this, but it takes that. Working that pretty fine into the pile again.
If you've ever tried to chop dry rosemary, you know what this flying is all about. The fresh rosemary like we're using today isn't going to fly everywhere as much on you, but just keep in mind it will happen. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just the shape of the leaves. They just like to fly.
Exactly. All right, I got this pretty fine done. I think that's probably plenty of rosemary for this top. It's off to the side. Now we're going to do some fresh basil here. I like to roll my basil up kind of in a tube shape. They go really, really fine, almost like a chiffonade, and then do my mincing motion after I'm done with that.
Chiffonade's a pretty fancy term. What does that mean, Sarah?
Just to roll up really fine strips. So in culinary school, we do that with spinach, and so mostly I would say. We don't really do it with many other fresh herbs.
It gives in pretty thin ribbons. Chiffonade literally means thin ribbons in French. We're making this down into a little bit more of a mince, so we don't have to do it quite as exact, but we still wanted to show you that fun little trick here.
All right, I'd say that's good then too. Steph, can go microwave this.
I sure can.
Thank you so much. And then we're going to start on our bread dough. In the recipe, it says that we can have pizza dough and you lay it out flat. This is not French bread dough. We're just going to break that open. And then I have a bench scraper here. And we're just going to break it down to little circles. Get this out of the tube here. And we're ready to go. It says about 36. We don't need exactly 36. We just need about enough to make the Christmas tree shape out of. We're just going to go through, get about an even circle with every one I go through. So we have quite a few. We don't need exactly 36 again. Just enough for that tree. All right. Once we're done with that, we're going to go and we're going to start on our filling. So I have my mozzarella cheese here, my cream cheese. I'm going to mix that together. Get this opened here.
We're back with our butter here, folks, mixed together, looking all great and herby.
Smells really good too.
Like Sarah said, we have smaller ones today since we're doing that tube of French loaf, but if you're doing bigger dinner rolls for your whole Christmas party, you can just double your butter topping ingredients and you'll still have plenty of buttery topping.
Exactly. All right, so we got the cream cheese here and the mozzarella. Just going to mix that together pretty good. I like to use my fingers because I feel like I can get it mixed pretty well with my fingers then. Obviously, use gloves if you have them and don't want to get your fingers all dirty and nasty. That pretty mixed together so we don't have random cheese.
And they could kind of use this method to stuff anything they wouldn't, couldn't they, Sarah?
Yes, they could. It's really good with actually buffalo chicken. Super good. My sister makes wonderful ones like this. Yeah, And kids absolutely love it. They love to pull them apart. I have a bunch of siblings, and they enjoy trees like this that are filled, and they can pull apart with their hands.
Great way to hide some vegetables in there, too, if kids don't want to eat their veggies.
That all good. We're going to take one of these, just kind of spread it out to make a circle here. We're going to make sure our ends are really thin, thinner than our middle, because what we're going to do then is take about a tablespoon of it here. So, stick that in the middle, and then we need to bring all of our edges together. And then when we have thinner edges like that, we're going to make sure that we have an even distribution of dough all around our roll or circle of cheese, and then it's ready to go. Obviously, make sure it's definitely down. The end we just put together is down on our sheet, so it doesn't break open and burst like a volcano when it's baking, because those French edges are known to break apart while they're baking.
This is a great time if you have helpers to call in your helpers. Somebody come on in here, help Chef Sarah, and we'll knock out all these stuffed rolls.
And then while we're making these, we're going to put them in about a Christmas tree shape. So I start with one at the top, most pretty one, which Joe will probably have. And then work my way down. Okay, thank you. What is your favorite stuffing with button, Joe?
Oh, well, you said buffalo chicken dip, so I think I have a new favorite. We do some chicken bobs where we do chicken, cream cheese, cheddar, and then roasted corn.
Ooh, that sounds fantastic.
I've made some broccoli cheddar ones before that would be really good. I know we just had Thanksgiving, and you guys are probably going to have leftovers for Christmas that are a lot of the same thing, but you could do a Thanksgiving leftover stuffed roll here.
For sure.
Stuffing, chicken, gravy, cranberry sauce, turkey. Cranberry sauce. And then make our Christmas tree here. Me and Sarah are just making essentially a big triangle. And then when we get down to the end and just have a couple left, we'll use the last one or two to make our trunk. Let's talk about some garnish at the end of here. We want to make it look more like they sell sun-dried tomatoes just in little cans at the store. They're in oil. They sell them without oil. But you can take those, get those mixed up. There's some great red color. Give us some ornaments on there.
Super pretty.
Oh, yeah. You could cut some bell peppers up. Get great color combo for some ornaments on the top there. Really decorated. You could just cut some cheddar cheese into a star shape. Melt that on the top of a roll for your star on the top. You can do none of that. Just stuff your rolls and then eat them at the very end, which I would probably always do. As you pour more and more of these, you will go quicker. Me and Sarah have made a lot of stuffed rolls in our lives, so we're going to town.
And if you want to look around your roll and make sure it didn't break open at any spots, some of them are breaking open on me just because we don't want that filling to leak out, not as for us.
And that's going to be different, too, based on the rolls you're doing. So I'll show you one here. It has that little center where it has some holes in there. That's because it's a French loaf, and we want some airy, spongy pockets for a nice French loaf. We're just kind of smushing those together. That makes it so you have that nice section where we still have nothing that's going to have cheese pop through. And we are ready. And then the last one, I'll show you how we'll do a little trunk. And I'm going to stuff it, but we're going to stuff it and then turn it into a little triangle shape. So we still have enough where it looks like our nice big Christmas.
See about you.
And then just take a little overfilling, and instead of rolling it like I would, like we did, I'm just pinching it around, giving it that chunky shape, still stuffing in all that cheese though, and then making it just that little bit of a stem.
Could that be buffalo dip in there?
It could definitely. That's what we're talking about.
Or spinach and artichoke dip?
The kids would love that as well.
Let's talk about some holiday dips.
That's what I'm saying.
Then we got all of this beautiful treat finished. I'm going to brush it with some butter. I have a pastry brush here. Right here.
There we go.
Yeah, mercy. All right, so then we're just going to brush it pretty liberally with this. Get a pretty good layer on each one of those. Make sure we don't have any butter left over. I'm really buttery and delicious here.
And so your garlic went into the butter.
Yes, the garlic went into the butter. It's not mentioned in our recipe that we have, but make sure we get that garlic in there because it is in our ingredients list, so that's where the garlic does.
That's a typo on my end, folks. Sorry about that. So mince your garlic just like Sarah did. Add it to your butter so it releases some of that yummy garlic flavor into the butter. Add your herbs because we need it to look like that nice Christmas tree look. So a little greenery on there is going to be nice.
Super pretty. Nice. This looks like a Christmas tree.
All those herbs in there give it that great green color. It really does look like a tree.
The only Christmas tree I would be. All right, that looks super good. I think it's ready to go in the oven. We're going to put our Dutch baby, which is our next cinnamon apple Dutch baby, in the oven with that. So I'm going to move on to that. Kind of clean up my station here. Move this on down. Bring that on over. All right, so we have our apple cinnamon Dutch baby here. We have our 2 eggs and some apple cider here, some milk, some flour, some sour cream, an apple, brown sugar, and a little bit of seasoning mix here, powdered sugar, and plain sugar. And then last but not least, butter. All right, so what we're going to start with first is making our apple peel and slice. I like to peel my apple first, get all these peels off of it. You can use a knife. I just think that a peeler at least a lot more of the apple. It takes the peels off nicely. To get that peel here. Don't leave the top because we don't need to get those peels off because we'll just cut that off anyways. Not do that.
And it's okay if they leave a little bit of the peel on there.
Yeah,
They don't have to worry too much about getting perfect. Yeah. If you guys really like apple peels and want to leave all of it on, that's fine.
My compost container, and I'm going to wipe off my knife here. You don't want herb. All right, we got a beautiful bag. And then we're just going to go around and cut the apple off of the floor. It's pretty good. And this is much easier than trying to cut the apple in half and then pour it and stuff like that. And then we're going to go through and we're going to slice them. The fire you get them, the faster they're going to saute for you, which is going to be our next step. And I just cut them pretty fine. I remember my mom always used to make apple Dutch babies for us when we were kids. And her apples, she cut pretty thick because she liked the nice crunch on them. I personally don't mind if I don't have that crunch. It's more thinner apple. You can do either way, and they're both delicious. Almost done here. Just one more to go. And I got a little bowl over here for us. We're going to stick our apples in and pour our sugar here on top of our apples. That. Then I'm going to get my saute pan all nice and hot. That. Put it on medium-high heat. Then we're going to stick a little butter in there. We can start melting down. About 1 tablespoon is what we want to start with for the apple. And then while that's starting to melt down, I'm going to take a spoon here. Just give my apples a good mix so that sugar gets coated all over the apples. That's pretty good. And that butter is starting to melt. Perfect. Make sure that gets all over the bottom of our cast iron. Good. All right. Up a little bit here, and then I think we're almost ready to put the apples.
It's always a good kitchen tip. Clean up as you go. Otherwise, at the very end, you're going to regret every decision you made the entire time if you
see
cook.
all the dishes so overwhelmed. Right. That's pretty good then. Now we're going to add our apples in there. Get them sauteing. Quite hot. It'll be while those are sauteing, we're going to start on our pancake batter, or our Dutch baby batter. We're going to start with our eggs. Like Joe told us earlier, don't crack your eggs on the edge of the bowl. Crack them on a flat surface so we don't get any shells in there. Eggs in there. I like to whisk my eggs a little bit to make sure they're cracked or broken up before I add my flour. Add the milk here. Whisk it a little bit more. So there's no egg lumps in there. It's pretty well combined. Apples are just starting to saute here. Nice. So. And then we're going to add our flour and mix 3 ingredients in here as well. This is going to be our flour, and our cinnamon, salt, and nutmeg, which is in this little seasoning container for us. Make this nice and whisk together. So there's no lumps of flour in there. Very well combined. So my apples here quickly. Pretty good. So it's almost ready to go. There's just a few lumps in here that we're going to try to get out quickly before we add it, because nobody likes to eat pancakes and get a big pocket of flour in their mouth. At least I don't. I don't know about that. I don't know what you say.
Not a fan of lumps of flour. I'm with it. And that's where a whisk is really doing the job. If you try to mix your pancakes with a wooden spoon, with any kind of spoon, you're just not going to get those lumps out the same way that you would with a whisk.
Exactly.
A hand mixer would work fine. A stand mixer would work fine in this situation.
Yeah. Apples are fantastic. You know, maybe a couple minutes longer, but I want to do too much more.
Then could they do other fruit besides just apples in here?
Yes, they can. Peaches are super good on Dutch babies like this. Also, pears would be a nice thing to put on top, a little bit seasonal too. A berry sauce would be phenomenal as well. Yeah, almost like any fruit that you have in your fridge, you can sneak in there. Anything, I would say.
That's what I want to hear, folks.
These are looking fantastic. I'm going to pull it out here now. I'm going to turn this down a little bit lower. Last few Cookery. Those out. Now we're going to add our next bit of butter in there.
And then with our apples, folks, you can see they look great. She just got a little bit of color on them, get some of that caramelization started. That helped with our sugar, and then just soft enough so they'll cook down a little bit more when we put this all in the oven.
Have medium high heat the butter melt down. And then we have our dough here as well that we're going to add into our pan with the butter melted.
What's nice about adding this butter into your hot cast iron is you're almost making a brown butter right in the very bottom of it.
Exactly.
Some great nutty flavor into our Dutch baby here.
Super delicious. Wow. All right, our dough is done here. I'm going to grab spatula, which is open. Get all of the dough out into the pan a little bit better. Ready to go. Get all that goodness out into our cast iron. Alright, so we have all of that done. And then we're going to top that with our cooked apples. Super delicious. Together. I'm going to move them around so they're not all in the same spot. Evenly distributed all throughout the cast iron. Alright. Then we're going to take them and we're going to put them in the oven at 340 or 450, I'm sorry, for 20 minutes. Have Chef Joe take that and do that for us.
Can do.
I have a towel right here so you don't burn your hands then.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. And then over here, we're going to start on our sauce. We have apple cider today. You can use orange juice as well. And we don't have to necessarily microwave this, but it just makes it easier for us to combine it all. Have our brown sugar we're going to put in there as well. And the microwave will make sure our sugar can dissolve fast. If you guys want a different trick, you can just stick this in the oven overnight, and it should combine as well. Just put it down here. The sugar should dissolve as well. Mix this all good. It's pretty well covered our sour cream. Just quick scrape to make sure we get all the sour cream in there. Perfect. Now I'm going to hand this off to Chef Joe as well, so you can go microwave it. Get in your workout, okay?
Will do. I need the steps.
Thank you, Joe. All right. So we have all that. We have our Dutch baby in the oven, microwaving our sauce, and then we're going to wait for that to come out of the oven. And while we're waiting to do that, we're going to start on our donuts. I'm going to get cleaned up a little bit here. So it's all nice and clean. Our dishes combined. So we got my hands over on it. And then I'm going to go grab our ingredients for that. These all set to the side.
And folks, when I put in the Dutch baby, I also put in our rolls, just because they cook for about the same amount of time. So we slip those in the oven at the same point, just so that when we're ready to eat, they both get done at just about the same point.
Delicious. All right. And I have all for our donuts. So we have our dulce de leche over here. I have our whipped cream, our cinnamon and sugar, and our biscuits sitting all right here. And then I have a piping bag, some other utensils that are going to be helpful. But Joe here is going to start our frying oil for us, since we're going to fry them on the stove. We'll set our tray right here, so when the donuts get out of the oven, I have something to sit on. You just took a baking rack and a sheet pan, put them on top of it so the oil can drip down off of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with our cinnamon and sugar. Grab a fork, kind of mix that together. So it's pretty well combined. A little bit of cinnamon sticking to the edges there. But it's pretty combined. And then we're going to pour it onto a plate.
And just ratio out there for you guys, that is a half a cup of sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon is what we did.
There it is. Yeah. All right, I'm going to set this off to the side, and then we're going to work on our filling. Today we're doing a dulce de leche cream filling. But you don't necessarily have to do like a caramely filling. You can do it filled with pudding if that's really quick, if that's what you want. Just make a pudding container from the store or whatever, and let that sit. You can fill your donuts with that. You could do a raspberry jam in the middle, and that's super fantastic as well. I know my grandma, she always makes us biscuit donuts on Christmas morning for all of us. She likes to fill them with lemon curd, which is super fantastic as well. Lemon's one of my favorite things, so that's always amazing. It's pretty well combined. I'm using a fork. You can use a whisk. Anything works here. Just make sure it's well combined and we don't have any big chunks of caramel sitting in it.
It will feel like it doesn't want to combine at first. dulce de leche is pretty thick like a caramel sauce. That whipped cream is there to thin it back to a moussey consistency for us. So if you don't think it looks like it's combining it first, keep folding it just like Sarah's doing, and it's going to get there.
Getting there, it's just not quite there yet. A little bit of strength into that. Has a little bit of chunks in there, but honestly, that's going to be delicious as well. One of it. Once that's combined, pretty much, we're going to transfer to a piping bag.
Let's
You
get
can see it close up.
Yeah.
Super delicious, super amazing.
Beautiful.
I mean, I would eat this right off the fork.
She's going to have to stop me from eating it off the fork, folks.
Okay, so we have that done. And then we need to fill a piping bag or a squeeze out of this. Today I have a piping bag. You can fill here. If you do this at home, you can use 2 people, but for today, I just have 1 person up here. So I'm just going to put the bottom into put the piping tip down into the liquid measuring cup and fold it around fold the top around the liquid measuring cup. Kind of open it up so it can get all the way down to the bottom. Keep folding it down around the measuring cup. Makes it easy for me to go to fill this all by myself so I don't need someone to come up.
It also keeps the outside of your piping bag nice and clean. I don't know about you guys, but when I first started piping any kind of buttercream or anything, I would get it on the outside of my piping bag, and once that bag is greasy, there is not a whole lot of things that'll help you grip onto it.
And I was the same that way. So when we get this all nice and ready to go into a piping bag, we're going to stick that in there. Squeeze on down there. Sit down with our spoon on top. The rest of that deliciousness into the piping bag. Scrape our edges. Make sure we get every drop of that we possibly can. And then our piping bag is ready. If you're going to make these for Christmas morning, we want to get our piping bag around the night before, so it's just quick and easy. You can just fry your donuts up and then put it in there put the piping in there without making it in the fridge. You can leave it in the fridge overnight, just in the piping bag like this, so it's nice and easy for you in the morning too. You're going to squeeze off the top, and then start our delicious donuts. Couple ways we can check it. We have our thermometer here. We can just swirl around. Obviously, the top's going to be cooler than the bottom. It's going to be hotter, so we want to swirl it, kind of make sure it's up to 10. Looks like we're at 180 right now. It looks like we need to be at 350. Another way we can check it is if we take our wooden spoon, stick that in there, and if it starts bubbling around, or the oil starts bubbling around our wooden spoon, you know it's hot enough to use that now. And then let that heat up a little tiny bit longer. While that's happening,
Once you get ready to fry, you can turn your oil up and let it get hotter. We had ours just at about medium while we were getting everything else prepped, just so we didn't have to keep a super watchful eye on it. If your oil gets too hot, you don't want to fry anything in it because it will get burnt and have that burnt taste, and this way we don't have to waste any time letting our oil cool back down. But if you're going to watch it and you're paying attention to it coming up to temp, it is totally okay if you crank your heat up a little bit. Once it gets closer, though, you'll want to crank it back down so it doesn't keep rising in temperature.
So I'm opening my biscuits right now, so I can take them out.
Kudos on not jumping. I always jump when I bust open a biscuit can.
I'm just going to set them here. Wow, there. They're kind of hard.
There are homemade donut recipes you can find for this, but I'm going to tell you what, they don't taste any better than the biscuits. They taste probably about the same, but if just a store-bought biscuit dough, if you deep fry it and coat it in sugar and cinnamon, it will be just as delicious as any donut you buy in.
Way less taste.
And easier for you.
Exactly. I have our cinnamon sugar ready to go. I have our oil starting to heat up with the tip of the gun. Pour our thermometer around in our oil. Looks like we're at 250 right now. I think about 100 degrees to go, which you know very fast. Give up 10 more.
Yeah, it just jumped to 60 degrees or so just in the time she was opening up her biscuit dough.
Exactly.
And so you want to show them a close-up of one of these biscuit doughs? Sure. These are pretty big, and we're going to fry these whole so they're easier to fill. But if you have plenty of time on your hand, and like we were talking about with the crab cakes, if you wanted to do just kind of like a little bite for everybody, you can cut these into quarters. They're going to spread and floof up when we fry them, and you could still fill the little quarters. You just wouldn't fill them with quite as much.
Exactly, yeah. Check it again. I feel like we're almost there. We're at 275.
Should we talk about the method of how we're going to fill the donuts after they get fried so we know where we're going with everything?
So what we're going to do is we're going to fry our donuts in our oil, and we're going to transfer our cinnamon sugar, all covered and coated around cinnamon sugar. We're going to set them on our sheet right here, and then we're going to take our piping tip and insert it into the side of the donut and just squeeze as much as we would like. Obviously, you don't want too much or the donut might explode and run out the edge. We want it good enough that we can actually taste it and have a delicious bite. So,
if you want filling your donut to be easier for you too, and we can show you, you can just stab the piping tip down into the center and fill it. But if you want to make a little extra step, just so you know the filling's sitting right in the center, you can take a paring knife and just poke a little bit of a hole, and it's your guide hole, like a drill bit almost, and you know right where you're filling it.
So, I got this here. It's pretty much there. We're to 300. Taking a lot.
Maybe you have some leftover of the fig preserves that we made with our brie and puff that we made yesterday with everybody. Put that in the middle of one of the donuts. I'm really sold on the lemon curd one that Sarah was talking about. I might have to make some of the lemon curd donuts.
Yes, they are fantastic.
They're a go-to.
Yeah. My go-to is definitely raspberry jam donuts.
Maybe some of both.
Donuts have a raspberry filled one, and that one's hard to mix. Oh, looking at 325 now. Exciting. We're getting there finally.
And so just about 325, I would crank your heat down just a touch. So Sarah's moving it just around to the medium point. That way, like she was saying, your oil does get hotter pretty quickly. So we don't want it to get up to like 400 while we're waiting for it to get to 350. And then we are just about ready to fry here, folks.
All right. So we're going to set one of these in the I have a spider today. What the oil is off. Set that in there.
I'm going to try to really smoothly show you guys just so you can see the bubbles coming up. Because you do want to see some of those bubbles happening. If they're not bubbling at all, your oil is not hot enough yet. And if you put them in there and they're bubbling so much that it looks like your oil is going to puff over the pan, then your oil's too hot. You just want to let them sit for a little bit. And then like Sarah's going right now, you are going to want to flip them over halfway through, and that's just because they float, and you want both sides to get nice and fried. They will take just a second, though. We need to make sure that they're cooked all the way through so our center isn't gooey when we go to put in the rest of our dulce de leche filling.
Exactly. They don't honestly take incredibly long to fry. Your oil's nice and hot. The nice golden brown color on it. So delicious. Next, guys. On that side. This looks fantastic. Give them a couple minutes or a couple seconds on that side just to get nice golden brown and color on both. So it's pretty good. So I'm going to put him in our cinnamon sugar. Flip this guy on over, see where we're looking on him. He looks delicious as well.
Yum. And then you guys will notice that Sarah's putting them right in that sugar out of the fry oil. That is going to stick so much better when they're still wet.
Yeah. All right, we have one more bag here. And then we're going to take our fork that we used for our cinnamon sugar, just kind of coat them really good in our cinnamon sugar mixture. It smells so good and looks delicious.
And while she's doing that, just a quick note for you guys on our apple Dutch baby. I'm about to pull it out of the oven. So your recipe, I think, says about 20 minutes at 450. Ours is about done, and it's been in there for just about 13 minutes. So when you're doing them at home, check them out after just about that 12 or 13-minute mark. And then if it still feels kind of raw in the middle, you can throw it in there. But if you're doing our same recipe, it should be just about that 14-minute mark. It'll be done for you.
All right. Now I'm going to start the next batch before we get to filling those. Put these guys on in there. The oil has had time to heat up, so these might go a little, or heat up even more, so these might go a little bit faster. I'm going to turn oil down a little bit more.
I have our Dutch baby that I'm going to pull up in our camera and show you guys here. There is our finished off Dutch baby. Looks gorgeous.
We have powdered sugar here for that, and then we'll finish your sauce here in a minute to put on top of that as well.
Ooh. There's always some splattering oil when you're deep frying, folks.
It was nice to wear it.
Or long sleeves.
Or long
Or a great
yes.
Feliz Navidad sweater.
Definitely. And it adds some here. All right. Well, those are going to last minute. Actually, fill up the pan so they won't overcook, or they're not. The oil's not going to get too hot on us. Looking pretty good on them. You just need a couple more seconds. Then I'm going to start filling these little guys here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to grab a knife. Actually, I'll show you that way first. And make a little hole in the side of them. I like to go through the side because I think it looks prettier. And then I can stick our tip down in there. Squeeze till I feel like it's good enough. And I like to do a little twist at the end just to make it all nice and pretty. So I think these little guys are done. We're going to take them on out, put them in our cinnamon sugar.
While she's doing that, I'm going to go give a check to our Christmas tree pull-aparts because I'm smelling them and I'm getting hungry, so I think I need to go check them out.
Sure. All right. I'm going to just coat these guys, and then we can finish filling our other donuts. Get them pre-coated. Obviously, it's a little harder after they sit for a minute to stick that cinnamon sugar to them. And this guy well coated as well. Some of that deliciousness all over him. Stick them on our tray. Some of this nice good cinnamon sugar. And we're finished with that part. Then we just have to fill them all.
I tell you what, folks, the only thing keeping me from eating all of those donuts right now is they are ridiculously hot coming out of the fryer oil.
Yes.
That is the only thing stopping it.
So we have to twist their end, keep that nice and firm for us, and then we can go through and fill all of the rest of these donuts. Two done.
I followed the smell and I had to come and check it out. Look at that.
They look so good. So excited. Oh my god.
And we have our Christmas tree.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, yeah. All right, let's finish these guys off. And then I have a little tray over here. Right here is our tray. We can put our done donuts on here for us.
For me. She's for me.
Yeah. All right. Then we need to mix these guys on. Like to make little holes in them, or you can do the non-hole method. Stick them in there. Click on the break. Deliciousness. Done. Okay. Just two more to go before we can dive into this deliciousness. And our last one. Perfect. Here's all of our delicious donuts. They are finished for us.
Oh, man.
Can't wait to try one. All right. We're going to set them down by our other delicious meal here.
Then I'm I'm going to come over with our camera and let's show you everything we made today, folks. Sorry for the brief shake. I'll set it down just 1 second. But there we have it in our first little forefront here. We have our Christmas tree pull-apart breads with that cream cheese mozzarella filling. Of course, with some side of marinara sauce. Do your favorite store-bought marinara sauce is going to work fine for you. And then over in the background there, we have our apple Dutch baby with a little bit of powdered sugar over the top of it. And of course, that sour cream brown sugar mixture sauce right over it. And then what I would be the most excited for today, we have our dulce de leche filled donuts.
That looks so good.
It all looks so great. Not even talking about all the smells we have in the kitchen.
All right. Well, that looks like all of the recipes we have today.
And that's our week for you, folks. We made some delicious food. We have loved having you virtually here at the Cookery to show you how to make all of our great treats. As always, big shout out to all the caregivers in our lives, whether it's for you, someone you know, your loved ones, or it's yourself being your own biggest caregiver. We wanted to wish everybody the happiest of holidays, and we look forward to seeing you next year, hopefully again in person, here at the Cookery.
Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho.
Well, I am Santa Claus. I have a lot of helpers that help me around the country. Coming to this university, we train them up in the ways of how to be me. How to be jolly, how to bring that holiday spirit.
Those reindeer, you've got a good story.
There are some technical skills involved. Some gentlemen need a little whitening on their beards, so we'll have seminars on how they can go about that. And of course, there are other things such as the ethics of Santa and having an awareness in reading a child. For instance, how to sit properly up on the knee so that the pictures look good. One of the things, though, that really gets me going is when they begin to find the joy in giving that gift and less emphasis on receiving the gift. We have so many new young men who have the heart for Santa. Something magical happens. Once that suit goes on and the hat goes on the head, you look in the mirror, and then that's when the real magic begins.